you very much.
That's a different Rambam. Oh, this is a different type
The
of
Frankel, everything is new print.
What is this Rambam? It's not a Rambam. I never saw such a... Oh, yeah. It's just very... Let me see if I can read it.
We have a great honor to have here with us Arya Rlbag, the Av Bezn of Agudas Rabbanim, and one of the biggest experts in Hilchos Círovín, built in Círovín, Amsterdam many years ago, which was approved by Gedolei Yisrael. I've been learning from him for about 12 or 13 years now, fountain of knowledge, and finally we have the opportunity here to have him in Kollel to give a shiur in Hilchos Círovín, a topic which the Kollel studied this year. Now that you're doing Chazara, so you already know you already finished learning the topics. It's a good opportunity to have a shiur on Inyonei Círovín.
I don't have to bend down, right? Just like this. Ashkoyach Raboisai, it's always a pleasure, especially to be here with Talmidi Hayoko, Hamuvok, Reb Shalom Beer, and they asked me to speak. He asked me to speak on Hilchos Círovín. So the emes is, I first want to give a shvach and a hodoya to the people with whom I learned Círovín. First, I want to give a shvach hodoya l'Adoni Avi Mori v'Rabbi Hamuvok, Zechatal L'Brocha, who I learned with from the time I was 12 till I left for Hebron Yeshiva at 16 and a half, every day a daf Rashi, early in the morning, 2 hours, and I had to chazer it. That was my tafkid during the day, and I went to school, regular school. He went to public school in New York for a while. My father wanted to give me his own chinuch. And then, who did I learn Círovín with? Be'ika. Number one, Mori Rabbi, when I came to Hebron Yeshiva, my father found someone through his cousin who was living in Mea Shorim. His name was Reb Shmuel Halperin, and I learned with him. I remember every day I came Elul Chob Dalet, I think, to Yeshiva, and I learned with him Masechta Círovín till Erev Pesach, Tovshin Chof Hey. And during these 8-9 months, we had to learn also, there was a chiyuv to learn a daf a day, Gemara, Rashi, and Tosfos. You had to teach me it, because I was learning Yeshiva Yavamis then, in Hebron. It was winter zman, and Elul, they learned, I think, the 6th parak of Gittin. I had to run Yeshiva, regular Zdorim. But I would come to him every night in Mea Shorim from 9 o'clock at night till 12:1, till he finished the choyib. The choyib was to knock into my head, teach me, like a Talmud to a Rebbe learning in 5th grade, because it was a whole different Masechta. Círovín, Gemara, Rashi, and Tosfos, a daf a day. That was, and Baruch Hashem, that was my first encounter with Círovín. I had to chazer during the day, chazer the daf 2 or 3 times. And that was the Yesodis of Masechta Círovín. Afterwards, of course, I had Mori Rabbi, Cheben Rosh Yeshiva, Reb Simcha Zisler Broide. He wrote a seif on Círovín, and the Meiri with the new Meiris with the print has his perush on the bottom. And he was Mori Rabbi, and many of the Inyonim in Amsterdam, I talked over with him when he was still alive, etc. And I bring him in my sefer many times. And the last one, and Grada by Shmuel Halperin, you know, even though I learned with him a year, I didn't even know till after that he was the Lubavitcher Chassid. I never knew it. He never said it. That wasn't the need. And he was such a behalten man. I came in. I remember he had small children, 4 or 5 years old, a bunch of children. He was only the Evya, and lived in Mea Shorim. And my father paid him, I don't know what it was, I think 100 lira a month, but to learn with me at least 3-4 hours a night, from 9 to 12 or to 1, as long as it took to finish the daf. So that was him, and the third one was Mori Rabbi Reb Lezer Plachinsky, the Einikel of the Alta, the brother-in-law of Rabbi Yashiv, a son-in-law of Rabbi Levine, who was a big goyin. He was the Baal Plukta with the Chazon Ish in letters there, 50 letters back and forth on Círovín, all kind of shilas of Eirovin, back and forth. He was the Talmud, both of the Chazon Ish and the Brisker of Reb. So him also, I learned with him a Chavrusa for a few years. He was a mishpacha, so bein hasdorim, between 2 and 4. So every shas, so also with Rabbi Pachinsky, I bring him also a few times in the Sefer, a whole chapter about him, I mean about the Chiddush, he said. And these are the ones I attribute to my knowledge of Eirovin. When I came to Amsterdam in Tofshin Lamed Hey, there was no Eruv in the city. There was a Hatzor to make an Eruv, but they asked it. Before the war, they wanted to make an Eruv, but all the Rabbonim asked it. And I came up with an idea, and I'll tell you what the idea was. And you can look in the Sefer here, and it shows the picture in the beginning. You can pass it around, but it'll understand just what the Eruv was, how it looked at least. And I'm leaving the Sefer here, just the picture in the beginning, so you'll have an understanding. If not, it's very difficult. Yeah, this picture. Picture someplace. This should be it. This is the picture? Yeah, no, there's one more. Oh, okay, so show this picture here. They don't allow in Amsterdam any what do you call it, strings to go up anything. You can't make any tzuras at Pesach. You can't, there's no such thing as throwing up strings and konim and kokoris or tzuras at Pesach. You can't. It's also, it's against the environmental, not now, I'm talking about when I came in 75, even now. You can't, so there's no way, you can keep the Sefer, there's no way of building an Eruv. However, the Hatzor was that I wanted to make dulusis. Now, dulusis, there were big pirzas. You can't make a delis. A delis, if you, good, you can make it for 10 amis. You can't make it for 100 amis. You try to make a delis, even a roll-up, so much to roll up, but you can't, it's impossible. It falls in the middle, it falls down, the weight. Anything, you try anything, you put it across, it's heavy, something heavy, no matter how light it is, the weight, you put it a small thing like this, even tantvachim, it'll just fall down, the weight of the air on the thing. So what I came up is to make a delis haroy linoil, you saw the picture. On one side, we have inside the argaz a stick with 6 strings, each string less than 3 tvachim, and I made it open the tefach, and then next to it another pole, and the strings are rolled around that pole. Of course, we're talking about taut strings, made from thin nylon. Again, so it shouldn't sag down. If it sags down, it's not. No, it's not good. Now, what you have to do is theoretically, you can pull the 6 strings from one side of the pirza, 50 feet away, 70 feet away. I'm not talking about small pirzas, big pirzas on bridges, huge amounts. And when it's all set up, one side you have a pole with 6 strings coming out, each one less than 3 tvachim, one from the other. On the other side, a makel, a stick, and also with 6 hooks. And you attach one to the other. And after you take a picture, and you have a big pirza closed up with 6 strings in between, which is it's really a delish shel shesi, a delish shel erev. But lavud, kalovadomi, and it's like a mechitza. So you have a mechitza. It's like you have a delis, you have a door. The door is open, so it's also mechitza. Why? It's called the delis haroy linoil. Gemara. Do you ever learn the Gemara in Eruv Davav or not? Anyone learned that Gemara? You looked at that Gemara or not? I'm asking. No? You did or not? The halachos. Okay. So delis haroy linoil is the Gemara in Eruvin. The Gemara in Eruv says that I'll read the words of the Gemara in Eruv, though you don't really have to have it in the Gemara, so it's not going to mean very much. But at least the Gemara says the following. The Gemara says, Hani avule den haudoi. There were mavois in haudoi. The timan al pralgayu ba'avcha, which the they were, what do you call it? They were covered. Half of the deles was in mud, in afra, in sand, and in rocks, and in offer. Shmuel went in and used that as the eruv. There was the door, but the door was halfway. The first half of the door was buried in sand. You couldn't open it, you couldn't close it. It was halfway, quarter of the way opened. And Shmuel didn't care. He carried. What are you talking about? That's not a door. A door is the deles haroilin oil, even though the door is open and then there's no mechitza, but it can be closed. The Gemara says the deles haroilin oil is the mechitza because you can close it. This you can't even close. So Rab Nachman Bar Yitzchok said, Omar Rab Nachman, ki osa Rab Nachman Omar paniyuha liafrei. Rab Nachman said when he came, he was a machlokes with Shmuel. He said, take away the offer. Make the door at least that it can be closed. You keep it open. People go in and out. This wasn't a door in the house. A door in the house, it's easy. You have it's a Pesach, you have everything here. It's a whole mechitza. But there was a door of a city, a shar, you understand, of the mobile, your door. It was on one side. People had to go in and out. So it was open, but at least it should be able to be closed. That's called a deles haroilin oil, a deles which can be closed. And then we say it's like it's closed. So even though it's open the whole time and there's no mechitza, nevertheless it's mutter to carry. The Gemara says that mutter to carry in that way. Oh, so that's the Gemara. So in Amsterdam you couldn't build any chuvas at Pesach. So I had an eitzah. But not to make a deles. A real deles you make, like a shar, sometimes cars go in and out. On the side it's like 10 feet wide, and it's cold, and they close it at the end of the day. Okay, it's a deles or in oil. It can close like a saloon door, in a place where cars go in and out. But here, what do you call it? You couldn't close. It was too much of a pilzer to make anything. It wouldn't let you make something on the side. But even to roll up plastic, it would be huge. It wouldn't let it. So I had an idea what to take 6 strings. Take 6 strings, roll it up on one side, like I said, the makel, and then next to it a makel, another makel next to it, and you can pull it out to the other side. Pull it out to the other side, it comes a mechitza, a deles, al yidei lavud. Now, this was given in Eitzah in the Achronim. 2 big Achronim discussed it and rejected it. The first one was...
Between the 2 poles, the pole where there's no string, right, there's 3 poles. There's 2 poles have string in between, one doesn't.
What?
That's where it matches up. The clothes is still there.
Yeah, that's all. That's all in one box. And the other box, during the whole year, it's all closed in a box. You don't see anything. No tzutzah pesach, no nothing. You pull it out. Once a year, and the street closes. Closes not with the door, with the 6. All they see is 6 strings. You close it for a minute, and you see 6 strings. So that's called the deles haroilin oil. Now this eitzah was given by 2 big achronim. One was the Dalsoi She'ori Oir, which was the Chatzina, big goin. He wrote a sefer called Dalsoi She'ori Oir on the inyan of the losses, all kind of shilas. And one of the things which he said was such an eitzah, which was given in Pietrkov and other cities wanted to do it, and he rejected it. Gave a whole list of reasons why it's also. The other goin Yisrael who gave such an eitzah and rejected it is Avnei Nezer. Avnei Nezer has 3-4 tshuvas on the deles, the losses, or the Chayim, from Reish Ayin Aleph, Reish Ayin Beis, to Reish Ayin Hey. Reish Ayin Hey has this eitzah, and he said, I think to the Rav Pietrkov, Reb Chaim Eloz of Vax, known Rav, big Talmud Chochem, and he says it's also, there's no way you can make it. He says, you should make kosher Eiroven, you shouldn't make such an Erev. And he gives reasons. He gives there in that tshuva 4 or 5 reasons. Anyway, the reasons are given why the Achronim asked it, and therefore they asked it at Amsterdam. There's no until I came along. They asked it. It was also finished. They came from Israel to make such things. It's impossible. You can't. Avnei Nezer asked it. Anyway, when I came to Amsterdam, they asked me to sign in the Eruv that it's not good. I said I have to first see the Indian. I wrote it true. I came in 75, Tavshin Lamed Hey. And by 76, 77, I came 76, I came 76, 77. I wrote a tshuva. It took me a year to write the tshuva, which is really this sefer. It was written then in 76, 77. And I sent it, and the Rabbanim of the city, of course, our Bezdin was very much against it, etc. He already acid, did the Hatzah, and the Yerushalayim the acid. You can't make an Eruv. You can't. So I sent it to a few Gdolim. So the first answer I got back was from Yisrael Yanka Fisher. And lo and behold, he wrote me a bunch of letters, a very long letter, printed here, 10 pages long, going through all my Stodim Leheta. And very, very, it's all in the Sefer here. And at the end he says he's maskim. Also another one was Rav Wozner. Also went to my tshuva. He said in the middle of traveling to America, to Muncie, he sent me a letter in 78. He said, but at the end he said, Soif Dova, if that's the only way to make an Eruv, I'm maskim lahatir, the tiltul and Amsterdam based on this Hatzah. And then I got others. Rav Hirschsprung wrote me on the way, wrote me a letter, a very nice letter, wrote me his maskim. The Tzitz Eliezer wrote a long letter, praising me, etc. You can 100% Rav Hirschsprung. I never met him just once before. He wrote Ahuvi. I was like surprised, however. But okay, I liked him very much, etc. I once visited him, and he came to Amsterdam. I spoke to him like 3 hours and learning the whole time, and all kind of minyanim. But Sicilias was maskim. Many were maskim. Many were not maskim. I say the Moshe wrote a letter. He wrote, "You're the Rav in Amsterdam." It was a Dayan then. It wasn't the Rav then. I was only the Dayan. Whatever you're the Dayan Amsterdam. Whatever you decide. I'm not getting involved. You know, you're the Rav. I decide for New York. Amsterdam is the Morad Asker. So decide what you want. You have that letter. Okay, so I decided what I want. Anyway, I want to discuss with you the two main tainas. There were many tainas, and the first Chela Simon Aleph, my Sefer, I go through the main tainas of the Oischim, of the Dalsa Shori, of the Razina, and the tainas of the Oischim of the Avnei Nezer, which they say clearly what the tainas writes also. I want to give you just two of the tainas, which are Ikra tainas, which and how I solved this the problem. In a Lamdi Shaveg, at least what I wrote. And I feel this can tell you this dinim in Bechitzis. That's why they say you're learning in Mechitzis, so I figured it's in Mechitzis, so I'll tell you what I thought of the Piani's Daiti and Eitzah, how it could be solved. One of the main tainas is based on the Rambam, in Hilchos Mezuzah, Perek Vov. There the Rambam was asked by the Chachmei Lunil, Perek Vov, Halachas Sehei, I think, whatever, and Machlokes, the Rambam and the Raivid, the Rambam says it in Perek Vov, Halach Alf immediately. One of the terms of Mezuzah is it has to have delosses. It doesn't have a deles, you're not Mechuyim Mezuzah. But the Rabbon is something else, but Chiyuv Doraisa says 10 Tanoim, Asor Tanoim. One of them is the delosses. And they had a shayla from the Chachmei Lunil, a shar which is between two bottom in the chotzer, and you don't know which is the way you go in, where do you put the mezuzah. So the Rambam says you don't have to have it all. The Ralbag says you have to have, and you have to. The losses are only to know the hekatzir. The Rambam says it's narishkeit. What is? He writes in the Chachmei Lunil. What does the Ralbag mean? Or what the taina of those who wanted to asa? He said it doesn't mean nothing because Gemara has the question of hekatzir with the taina of mezuzah. It's nothing one to do with the other. The Rambam says. What do you call it? You have to have, whether you have to have glosses for a different reason. Because it says, that it has to be like a shar. He says a Pesach without a deles, Pesach ikre, but to be a shar or a bias, it has to have glosses. Pesach ikre, but it's not considered a shar for mezuzah. A mezuzah has to be a shar, has to have glosses. And he says, he writes in the letter which Kesef Mishnah quotes the letter of the Chuvas Rambam, and Chuvas Rambam, Kesef Mishnah in mezuzah, in the beginning, Aleph, I think, the Rambam is Aleph, I think he says in Halacha Hey, he quotes Chachmei Lunil, he says that without like from Erevin we see, by glosses or early, there has to be a delis, a real delis. So also by a what do you call it, by a mezuzah, you have to have a real delis. And anything if it's not a real delis, that's what Rambam says. So one of the tainas of all the oisim, Dal Shorei and others, that you have to have a delis. Avnei Nezer said very clearly. He says here you don't have no delis. You're making a delis idei lovud. What do you just have a bunch of strings? It's not a delis till you pull it out. It's nothing now. It's nothing. It's just strings. You pull it out. They love it. It becomes a delis. Now no delis. You have to have a delis. And without a delis, it's nothing. Because he goes many tainas, but it has to be a delis. That's what his taina is. And that's a taina of Dal Shorei and Dal is the main taina. Has to have a tzura of a delis. Not a delis, doesn't have a mechuyim mezuzah. You're not mechuyim, what do you call it? Just like you have strings, you pull it out. Would you have to put midoraisa? Would you have to put a mezuzah there? Of course not. If you have 2 poles, a tzura pesach, no delis, and I have 6 strings. I pull out the strings, one after the other, and it becomes all of a sudden, it's closed, and I pull it back and it's open. I have to put mezuzah of not, it has to be delosses. That's what Rambam says. So same thing here. That's one of the main tainas. The other main taina was Isa Shabbos, that you can't, it's a mechitz hamateres, according to Rabbeinu Tam. Rashi mechitz is only a gag, only on top doraisa, not on the side. But if we pass on Rabbeinu Tam, it's a mechitz hamateres. So mechitza materes is, what do you call it, is also on Shabbos. You're making, that's the taina of the Avnei Nezer, Tabdas Shoir. You're making a mechitza on Shabbos. You're burning a mechitza. So therefore, it's not if it be a delicate, you have to close it. You're not over any Easter Shabbos. So I had an Easter to keep it open the tefach. But the Maisa is, they rejected that taina. I mean, it wasn't rejected. He said that to open the tefach within, it's only moisif al oil arai. But I wasn't writing the tshuva to me, but also tshuva to me back and forth, that's not a taina because since it's covered inside the argaz, it's not considered pasuach tefach. When you mater a mechitza, when you're moisef on mechitza, like you have a part of a mechitza, part of it, and you're moisef the rest. Moisef mechitza is muta, but not if it's a mechitza materes, and not if it's hidden. Many times it's always also, but even the Maharam in Shintez Rov, who's matir, says it says only, but it's hidden in the box. It's not considered pasuach. So I had to get a reason, and I wrote it. Why this should be muta. First, I'll discuss the main thing, which is one of the main tainas of all the oischim, all the tshuvas, is that it's no tzur but delis. The delis chaznish also. It has to be a delis there, and you open it or close it. If it's not a delis, it means nothing. So here I want to say yisoid, which I said that Yisoid, and I'll be mefalpel with me, Rabbi Sol Yankov Fisher, also printed these tshuvas in the Sefer. Shevet Levi printed this tshuva to me in Chelik Daled in 1979, 1980 when he printed the Sefer. And Sol Yankov Fisher printed it also in Even Yisrael 40 years ago. I only printed out the Sefer now, 5 years ago when I retired from Amsterdam. But Lemaisa, all this was written 45 years ago. All of this was in Eden. I only made it only the Eruv recently, 15 years ago when I became Arbezin. From America, I would go back and forth, but it was all from 45 years ago. So, why does a delis, I want to get to first Yisoid. Yisoid is brought in, what do you call it, in the Kesef Mishnah quotes it in Perek Yudalid, Perek Yud Zayin Halacha Yud. He quotes in Avodas HaKodesh, the Sefer of the Rashba, on Eirovin, Shabbos and Eirovin. And it's brought in the Rashba, and it's quoted in the Kesef Mishnah. Perek Yudalid, Perek Yud Zayin Halacha Yud. What does the Rashba say? The Rashba says a Yisoid on Duldulasas. Why does a delis help? Why does a delis help? No mechitza. The Chaz Nish Tainis has that too. The Pesach does. There's no mechitza now. It's open. It's a piltza gedoyla. There's no tzuras. A Pesach, there's nothing. Why does it help? Because royal, what does that mean? So there are we showing him to say the Raivin and the Meiri that like kol royal bila ain't bila makeves. So kol royal lino can hold on me. So as if it's closed. But also that doesn't mean nothing. But it's not now closed. That's the time of the Chazon Ish against Avnei Nezer. B'chal done losses. He said that there's no. It has to be when it's open. It has to be, what do you call it? It has to be closed. If it's open, it's not good. Unless it's true, it's a Pesach. The Rashba gives the Yisoid. He says, what's the Yisoid of a delis or linoil? He says the Yisoid is because it's einoi mosul l'rabim b'chol eish yirtzu. Look in the Kesef Mishnah. I quote the Kesef Mishnah. What do you call it? On the Rambam, he quotes Avodas HaKodesh, Perek Yudalid, Halacha Yud. He says the following. I can't read so small. That's my problem. It's not a big Rambam, but I'll see if I think maybe but I can read it, and not someone else will read it. But no, this is very small. The Kesef Mishnah is too small. Let me see. No, this is too blurry here. Let me see. Perek Yud Zayin. Halacha Yud here. Perek Yud Zayin. I don't think I can read it. It's the Kesef Mishnah. Oh no, this is really small. I mean, maybe for you not. Too blurry. I can't see. Anyway, he says, new Sefer. The Rambam. Okay, I'll tell you what he says. I can quote it. I have my Sefer. I quote it down. He writes to the father, "Where's my Sefer?" Oh, my Sefer is bigger print. I can read it. The Ralbag says the following, not the Rashba in Avodas HaKodesh, which the Kesef Mishnah quotes. Yearly, she'ein tzori. The question is if you have to have a delis and elis or not, closed or not closed. We paskin royally oil. That's what we paskin. The Gemara says oil. It has to be able to be closed, and even if it's open, it's good. She says yearly, she'ein tzorich dlosos and olos mikan mikan. Elokol sheyesh kan lechi yoykor bedelis and elis balayla. Now he said the Yisoid. She'ein reshus harabim ela hamosu l'reshus harabim b'chol eish sheyiltzu. V'hoyil v'yesh l'zeh delis nenelis balayla v'choysemes hi es ha'oivrim shom balayla ein zeh reshus harabim. Ad kan l'shoinai. The Rashba gives a new Yisoid. His Yisoid is that for something to be reshus harabim, it has to be Mosul the Rabbim b'chol eish yutzu, open for the Rabbim whenever they want. Now, if a delis can be sometimes closed and not closed, so when someone is 5 blocks away, he says, "Should I go through the main sratya, the main platya, the main street? I want to go to something on the other side." No, I won't take a chance. I'll go all the way around. Why won't I take a chance? The door's there. Maybe it's closed. He'll hesitate. It's musul l'rabim b'chol eish yiltzu means it's given over to the rabbim that whenever they want they can go. If somebody's going to have a suffix when he's 5 blocks away, should I walk down this block and go, to the other side of the city or the other side of the after the city to the Nahor, wherever he has to go? I might want to go there. I'll take a longer way around. Why? It's not musul l'rabim b'chol eish yiltzu. Maybe the door is closed now. You understand? So that, in other words, that takes it. What the Rashba is here saying, something to be Rosh Hashanah, that's one of the Tnoim in Rosh Hashanah. Shishim Riboy, not Shishim Riboy, Tazayin Amma, but one of the Tnoim, the Rashba says the Yisoid in Rosh Hashanah is the place where it's like the Diglei Midbar, Mosul l'Rabim b'chol eish yirtzu. So I title it like this. What's enough convenient if you have a real delis or not a real delis? As long as you have something which is what? Which is causes that opening to be Einoi Mosul l'Rabim b'chol eish yirtzu. It does its job. It's Choseim the Rabbim Milavo Michol eish yirtzu. That's a deal. And Rabbi was masking with that deal in the Rambam. You have to go with the Rashba. And when I want to show even the Rambam is like that also. And what do you call it? And Rabbi Fisher was masking with that deal in the Rashba. And that should be the heta, basis of the heta. The underpinning of the heta of the main taina against the Avnei Neza and the Dalsa Shora you hear from the Radzina that you can't have something, a bunch of strings, even the Chaznish, which can be a delis. Now it's not a delis. The idea is not a mechitza. The idea, I even have a guy from a Toysvis. Toysvis in the Beis Amid Beis, he didn't learn that either. It says the following. The Gemara says if you have a pirtzu yoisemi esa. So what you should do is, the Gemara says you can make a tzuas a Pesach. So Tosha says, but the Gemara doesn't say, and the Gemara says, how does the Tzuas a Pesach help? After all, it's a pure to Yotzei Esa. In the Heichel, the Gemara says, that Beis Amid Beis in Erovin. Heichel, there was only a pure to Ad Esa. So how can the Tzuas a Pesach help on Yotzei Esa? So Tosha says, Medayik, the question is only how does the Tzuas Pesach help a Yotzei Esa, a pure to Yotzei Esa. But the Gemara doesn't ask, how come why should delosis not help? It's a pure yotzei me'asa. In the what do you call it? In the heichel there was a heichel, there was a pure yotzei me'asa, and they had delosis. The ulam had delosis. The heichel had delosis. So Tosha says, why should Tzuas a Pesach help? The Shal of the Gemara if it's yotzei me'asa. Tosha says the Gemara doesn't ask why should delosis not help. Because Tosha Shua says the Gemara says Tosha that glosses helps. Why glosses helps? Tosha says, well, kim mechitza ma'al yadomi, kim mechitza ma'al yas. So I'm medayik Kimechitza. It's not a din of a mechitza. Now it's open. And the way I have glosses, why Torah should have said, mechitza ma'alya. It's a mechitza ma'alya. Why Torah say kimechitza? Only a diuk I'm having in Tosfos. Why kimechitza? Because it's not really a mechitza. Now it's nothing. Now it's a bunch of strings. I want to say it takes in my case. A bunch of strings. But what? It's kimechitza. Just like a mechitza is choisei marabim, with the yesod of the Rashba. B'cholei sheyutzu milavo. So also the strings, when you say it's nothing now, there's no mechitza, it's nothing. And when you pull it out, it's choisei marabim b'cholei sheyutzu. And therefore it has a din of a, what do you call it, a mechitza. And it has a din that it's choisei marabim. And therefore the Gemara doesn't ask, why should glosses not help? You understand, for Pirkei Mesa, because glosses surely helps. Anyway, that's the raya, the yesod I want to have from the Rashba. And I want to say that even the Rambam, my chiddush is even the Rambam goes with this, because the Rambam, look at the Rambam is a stira, it's a famous stira. They all ask stira in the Rambam. Perek Yudalid and Perek Yudzayin. Perek Yudalid, the Rambam says immediately, Perek Yudalid Halacha Aleph. The Rambam gives a klal. The Rambam gives a klal of what is the Rishus Harabim and how you marry Rishus Harabim. Says the Rambam, Alba Rishuyas the Shabbos Perek Yudalid Hilchos Shabbos Perek Yudalid Halacha Aleph, and then he says in Perek Aleph, the end of Perek Aleph, yes al kain afilu yesh bo kama milin. Even if the city or whatever it is a few miles long, im hukaf ledira could go in Medina, hamukefes chayma, like in Medina, shedal soiser nu'ulois malayla, has to actually be closed. The Ram Paskins to get rid of, and he says at the end, hareza v'shayochid. Ram says, delas nu'ulois malayla, if it's nu'ulois, there's a time when it's mamish nu'ulois, so it's, what do you call it, dinner b'shayachid. That's, it has to be closed. Gemara has a shaila, nu'ulois or lo nu'ulois. In Perek Yud Zayin, the Rambam doesn't say that. In Perek Yud Zayin, the Rambam says the following. Perek Yud Zayin halacha yud. Shnei ksolim b'rshus harabim. Like two sides of the street here, with the facade of one house, and what is this, New York Avenue, other side, the facade of the second house. And the Rabbim are going in the middle, the Rabbim, ba'om oivrim beinayim, keitzad machshir beinayim, how can you make in between that you can walk? What does the Rabbim say? Oisa, dlosois mikan, bedlosois mikan, v'yachar kach yaseh beinayim rishus hayochid. You make the same thing. The Rambam says in Perek Yud, you make glosses on one side, glosses on the other side, and it's a Shayochid. And says the Rambam, ve'einoi tzorach linol had glosses balayla. Avol tzorach shiyu hu yois linoil. Still in the Rambam. They all ask, that's not my kasha. They all ask that kasha. All the Achronim discuss it. All the Lomdish Achronim discuss. Well, here the Rambam says, to make your Shayochid in Perek Yud, it has to Perek Yudalid, it has to be Neulois. And here in Perek Yud Zayin, when the Rambam discussing the same thing, to like how this street, both sides, you make gloss on both sides, mikan lakan, be'en tzorach liot nuos balayla, royes linoil. This is still in the Rambam. So Mori Barabi, Reb Simcha Zizlai, discussed with him after he wrote it also, the Sefer, said he wanted to give an afkamin. I said the same thing. I mean, I wrote it. That is the difference between making a Rishus HaYochid and not having a din of Rishus HaRabim. To make it Shayochid, Taket has to be Nu'ulos Balayla. At least during Shabbos has to be closed at a certain time. Mamish Nu'ulos. But to take it out of a din of Rishus HaRabim, the Ram is moida to the what do you call it, to the Rashba. That what? It doesn't have to have Nu'ulos. Only royal in oil. Why? Because once it's royal in oil, it's Eino Mosel Ram Becholei Sheyutzu. I want to say the Ram is also moida, even though others don't learn like that in the Rambam, the Ram is also moida and lomdis to the Rashba. To take it out of a din of Shayochid, and excuse me, to take it out of a din, not to nitzu for shafin al-shayochid, to take it out of the din of Rabim, it's sufficient, even royal, because it's not mosul ram b'cholesh yutzu. A person will always hesitate. Maybe it's yes closed, maybe it's not closed. I don't know. So therefore, that takes it out of the din of Rabim, and then you come out of it. So you don't have to have nulas balada take it out of Rabim. But anyway, that's the yesod I wanted to say. In other words, the first yesod I want to say is that you don't have to have, what do you call it? You don't have to have a tzura of looking like a delis, the way the mashma, the way the achronim want to write. Why? Because the idea of delosis is not the mechitza shaboy, it's not the din of a mechitza. Now there's no mechitza, it's all just a bunch of strings. The idea is that it's choisem, it's after you choisem it creates a suffix in the people who walk that eino mosel ram b'cholei sheyutzu. That's Yisoida. They're all masking with me that this. I mean, all the letters that they wrote me, masking. They have to go with the Yisoida of the Rashba, which is a chidush because it's Rabbi writes Avodas HaKodesh, and the Kesef Mishnah brings it on the Rambam. Mistami brings the Rashba, and that's the Yisoid. In other words, that takes it out of being a Rosh Hashanah. We're talking about when it says Ainamo, Shishim Ribo, etc. Take it out of being a Rosh Hashanah. So that is the way, more or less. Okay, I'm a falpel a lot. I wrote this 37 pages with just on this question, on these two first questions, the first siman aleph of my sefer. So I go back in all kind of svaras. We show them, but I'm not going to go through all these svaras. I show that this is also in this svara, also in the Mogen Avraham, and also in the Taz, in different places. Okay, that's the rayas I bring. You understand? But that's the first Yisoid in Lomdis. The second Yisrael Lomdis, I also bought a raya, but it was Rabbi Wozner was not masking with it, even though Rabbi Fisher was masking. But for Rabbi Wozner was enough. The first Yisrael, what I said, this the Rajbi, Samech and the Rajbi, that's Ikri Korim. The second Yisrael, I wanted to bring a raya from the Oil Yankiv. Oil Yankiv was an Achrid Shashpotis, who was a Rav in Amsterdam. He came from Spain or Portugal. And he was a rabbi, he was a big kanoi, he wrote very much against Shabtai Tzvi, he was one of the big Yankov Shashpotis. The Pesach brings him always, he wrote about, originally when they made an Arab in Amsterdam, him and other Gedolim, but one of them in Amsterdam. He was matir till today, bridges which pick themselves up. In other words, there are many bridges in the city which are not stationary bridges. They pick themselves up. When a boat goes past, once or twice a day, every hour on the hour, some bridges every hour on the hour, others every 5 hours, others every 12 hours, some once a day, they pick themselves up, boat in the middle picks itself up, and the boats go, because they're full of canals and boats. So he titled such a bridge does not have to have an eruv. Why? Normally a bridge is osi ravim u'mevatel mechitza. Let's say the mechitza of the gedudei hanohar, the sides of the nohar, right? It's a mechitza, or the nohar or the canals. Bridge goes over it, so it's osi ravim u'mevatel beis in Eirovin, osi ravim u'mevatel mechitza. They go on top, the cars go, people walk across, and the rabbim. So the mevatel the mechitza, no mechitza. So he says, when you pick a bridge, picks itself up. This is Dimion in the Shuvas, Siman Ayin Beis in Oil Yankiv. Pesach Tshuva brings it. He says it's like, in Shin Samach Gimel, the Pesach Tshuva brings it, this Oil Yankiv. He says it's like a Delis HaRolin oil. What is a Delis HaRolin oil? Delis HaRolin oil is, the door's open, there's losses. You can close it. When you close it, there's a mechitza. When you open it, there's no mechitza. It's the same thing. When the bridge is down, right, and people walk across, there's no mechitza. It's mevatel the mechitza. When they pick up the bridge or put it to the side, that's what they do. It used to swivel and they put it like to the side. You understand, one side, and then the boats were able to pass. And where's the mechitza? The gedudei hanoah oila, correct? It's oila adlorokia. Even if the gedudei hanoah are in the bottom and they're covered, the sides of the noah, but it's covered with water, whatever it is. But it's oila adlorokia. So the mechitza comes up. So he says, when you're opening the bridge, it's like closing the door. Then the mechitza jumps up. So he calls it, it's like a delit. His dimion is that opening of a bridge, and whereby the mechitza of the gedudei hanoah jump up, so to speak, virtually. You don't see the same. It's a gedud. It's ases mechitza. The mechitza goes up. Adlorokia. So he says it's like a delis HaRolin oil. So that's what he's matir. So I say the following. My taina was, Rabbi Fisher was just asking with this svara. Wasn't not, he said, I'll get you against it, but he said. My taina was, look, there's no tzur of a delis, there's nothing, it's virtual. The good achis is only here. The bridge goes over it, there's no mechitza. The bridge goes away, you pick it up for the once or twice a day, the mechitza goes up. There's not even strings on the side. It's a virtual, you imagine, goes to achis. So if that's good, why should according to the Rashba, if that's good, so why should, not strings on the side, which can be mahava after when you pull it out, mechitza, why should not be good? That was my taina. And a second raya on the Ika taina of the Abnei Nezer and the other Achronim were against. Bosner said, no, he was mechalik and lomdis. He writes, no. There by your strings, when it's Alidei Lovud, now there's no mechitza. There's no mechitza. There's garnish, a bunch of strings on the side, rolled up. What does that mean? There's no mechitza. You can't tell Adele is there, nothing. So now you have to make a mechitza. So make a mechitza, he says, that's what do you call it? That's what do you call it? It has to be on the side already, a mechitza. Adele is on the side. Even if it's not no royal in oil, you understand. But here, he says, you can't be Magdama to this. Here, and therefore he says, if it's only strings, it's nothing. Here he says, the mechitza is there. You have to just take away the menir of the mechitza. What's the menir to the mechitza? The mechitza is the sides of the water, the gdudi hanoah. But what? There's a menir. What's the menir to the mechitza? That the bridge goes over it. But really it's there. Correct? So to take away the menir, so that's already, so it means the mechitza is there already. So therefore, it's like the delis all you know when the mechitza is being there, says Rabosna in his tshuba to me back. But when there's no mechitza there, he's not masking. He says yesh l'chalik. That's the way he wants to mechalik, and he disagrees with my raya from the Al Yankiv. Even though Rav Fisher yes agrees, not kamina, but he's yes masking with the yesod of the Rashba. That here we have to go la halacha with the Rashba. That's the perush, that's the lumdis of a delis, or something to take away. I want to say the Rambam take away from the get of being of Rosh Hashanah. The Rambam, which the Rambam is Tezaynama, even without Shishim Gribo, Tezaynama and Ram Holchim, so it's a dinner, or it's Chatyo Platyo, which goes once into the other, and it can be Roy to be, Yom Shulchan says B'chol Yoim, every day. But everybody's Choshesh, the Rambam, etc. So that is to take away that taina, you have to go with the Rashba. And I feel the Rambam is also with the Rashba. So that's one of the main tainas that I answered, in other words, in Lombis, using this Rashba, in order to, I bought many other things, that's one thing. With reference to the, what, do you want to ask something? No.
Yeah.
What?
If you, let's say, like once a year or twice a year, you bring fences from somewhere else and close off the street.
That, I do. What do you mean? What do you mean? No, but then it's not even there. From someplace else, it means no. It has to be there.
The strings aren't kids anyway when they're there.
So I explain you why. So I explain you not from some. They are there. They're there, but poyal. They're not. What do you call it? Spread out, but they're there. Each one wrapped around, less than 3 tvachim, standing in a box, ready to roll out. And you're talking about bringing them someplace else. So what are you talking? So that's one of the tiniest of. I think the. For one of the sefer it says Diglei Midbar the Yidden. They asked a kash on this. Yidden could always be a mechitza because a person is also a mechitza. Yidden can go and stand by the Diglei Midbar, the place they went through. Yidden can stand and make a mechitza, but they're not miyud lekach. They're not. I think the Abnei Nezer writes that. One of the tainas on people are saying, why is it different than the Diglei Midbar? You can always take it. People can stand there. It's not miyud lekach. Here's miyud. You have string and serum, everything inside a box folded up. It's different. You want to bring mechitza from the outside. So there's never a problem. You can always bring people from the bring things from the outside. Here it's there already. The delis is not built, but everything to be a delis is there. A din of a delis. What? It's on the side. It's made for that. The oil. It's nika. What do you mean? I write about nika. It's a why nika because the boxes are on the side. Everybody sees the boxes. They know what the boxes are for. One box on one side, one box on the other side of the pirza. So it's, you understand, it's different than bringing mechitza from someplace else. Bring over fences and make once a year. That's number one. And number two, who says to let you make once a year fences? Who's going to do this? Who's going to spend? This is the one that takes 10 minutes to spread out. You understand? Please close up once a year, 3 o'clock in the morning. The trains, a few plays where the trains go over the train tracks, a few plays of the highways, over bridges. They make different times of the year. They close up for 5-10 minutes. Police cars on both sides. They stop everything, 3 o'clock in the morning, pull it out, 10 minutes, and it's finished. You got to bring transport, huge, come on. Okay, anyway. The other time, which I'll go over quickly, is also, Alumdish Zach also, that we said, Isa Shabbos. That was the main thing which all the Achronim write. What?
The bridges are better than that's full than this door. The bridges which go up every night,
yeah,
every day, are better than pulling this door.
Of course it's better. That's the bridges. Rabbi Yaakov Shashpote was matir. He was matir. You're right.
So why do you have to add that thing also for the places, the bridges that don't go up? Where do you have to put those?
The bridges which don't go up, the stationary huge bridges which are main transports of the city, huge bridges, you understand, which don't go up, stationary bridges, 3-4 of them, and where the railroad goes over. There's a railroad, there's a tram which goes over certain things which are also over the railroad tracks. You have to construct it. It all costs money to construct, but it's only on the side of the body, the place which are stationary, of course, but stationary. Or for the Yabosha. Only one of the Matirim said he was masking only on bridges and not on Yabosha. Others said it for everything. Rav Horovitz, the Strasbourger Rav, he was masking that you want to use this for the bridges, which all Asa, my uncle Me'arik Asa, bridges have to have a tikkun. Others were Matir, some soifer. But he said for bridges, he did it in the city, Strasbourg. I mask him, you can have this tikkun for bridges. Whether they go up or don't go up, he says, because some soifer is Matir, all bridges even don't go up. Some soifer, the Eved. But anyway, but all of them ask him even for Yabosha, this tikkun. So but you need it for the bridges for stationary. Isa Shabbos is the other big Isa which they're all talking about, which have a very long part of Siman Aleph goes just on the Isa Shabbos. So I go into Mechitza Lahatir, Rashi, and the Rabbi Natam, and if it's we say Loved Lahachmir, Toisus, though Lahachmir, you don't say Loved Lahachmir, but I'm not going to go all through the Inyonim, that's all secondary Inyonim. Let me get to one of the main Yisoidis to be matir. Assuming we'll take all the isurim, assuming that a mechitza materes is also like Rabbeinu Tam, and assuming it doesn't help to pull out a tefach to be moisef al oil aray, which only the Maharam shita. The gabe at night, if it's heteros in Shabbos, the gabe at night, if you have to have beer with your wife and there's a light on, so he says to put a mechitza which you can go over, close it up, pull it out, not these probably use foam, and have the shalit, and the Rosh brings the shalit to the Maharam. So there he's matir, and he goes yisoid that mechitza materes, if it's opened up like you have a baby's carriage and you want to put it on top of the baby, so it has to be open to tefach, at least tefach on the side. If it's not open tefach on the side, you put a oil that's also on Shabbos. You can't make an oil a tefach. But if it's already pasuach tefach, you're moist of an oil aray. It's a heter of the Maharam. Maharam Rottenberg, which the Rosh brings, which the Shulchan Aruch also brings, as Uday in Shintez Rov. Okay, but others are cholik on it, and especially when it comes to a mechitza materes, and the Rav Wosner said here, but it's not going to help keeping it a tefach open inside, because Rav Fisher says you don't need a tefach inside. He likes some heter, but Rav Wosner said it's covered, so he has a suffix. If it's going to considered, it has to be. You have to see it's a tefach open. No one sees it. It's all inside the box. Okay, but these are side issues. The main heter is the following. I forgot what I wanted to say. What's the Isa? Myself. What?
Isa Shabbos.
Oh, Isa Shabbos. Okay. So in Gemara in Ayin Ches Omid Beis, and it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch Shin Ayin Daled. You learned Shin Ayin Daled also, then Bechitzis. Okay. So the idea of the halachah in Shin Ayin Ches Omid Beis, the Gemara talks about when you have a chotzer between and you have a chitz between two chatzeres. And the question is, can you have to, every chotzer can make its own eruv, and you can't carry one and the other, and the chitz is a mechitz, what do you call it, which is a mechitza, it goes down your tfachim, it's wide, etc., and each one carry by himself, but let's say you want to carry from one to the other. So how do you carry from one to the other? You have mechitza, you have the chitz in between both chatzeres. So the Gemara says you make a sulam. You make a sulam which can go over the chitz, you understand? Or if you have a mechitza, you make a sulam, we go climb, it's like a door, going up to the mechitza and going down, a sulam. Let's say, the Gemara says, Shali Gemara, osoy eitz, sulam. Someone makes an eitz, a tree. You know, people climb up trees, so there's a chitz in between two, what do you call it? Didn't Shin Ayin Daled, Shin Ayin Beis or Ayin Daled? I think Shin Ayin Beis, Sif Tezvav. Shin Ayin Beis as well. You make it's a fagudwol from the sugya, but it's an Ayin Chesed the sugya. You make the mates, you make it a sulam. So it's Malvin Echad. Paskin, you can make it, then it's considered one chotzer, and that's chotzer you can make by itself, it's all considered one chotzer. So Gemara says, but a sulam is also to go up on Shabbos, it's also the Rabbanon. So the Gemara is matir. Why is the Gemara matir? So different tegutzim in the Gemara. One of the terutzim in the Gemara is, it's muta, you know why? Because Arya hu de Rovi alei. Because it's not, nothing there, the sulam is a sulam, the eitz is a sulam. Why can't you go up on the sulam? Because Easter Shabbos. Easter Shabbos, like you have a sulam and have a dog there, you have a lion there. You're afraid to go, but it's still a sulam. It's still ma'al ben echad. It's still a connection between one and the other. You can't go because you're the gavla. You're afraid to go there. Your lion is there. A dog is there. A dog is walking around there. Bulldog. What do they call the bulldogs or the other type of dogs they have here? What are these dogs that they have fights with? What is the dog called? They have fights with dogs. What? I don't know. Some dogs that have fights with always, like dog fights. Like a bulldog, you're afraid. A lion, so it means, I want to say in Afkamina because it has to do also in the halacha. That's my svara, and Reb Shum Zissel was moide with me. I write, he was moide to my svara. When the Gemara says, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Panya la'afrei, when the dlosses were buried in sand, he says, take away the sand. Shmuel use it. And he says, take away the sand. So what's the difference? Why, when it comes to an Easter Shabbos, you understand, for instance, here there's an Easter Shabbos. What is Easter Shabbos? You can't open up the bridges, or you can't open up, without creating Easter Shabbos, electricity, whatever you have to do is Easter Shabbos. How can you do it? You can't Easter Shabbos. So when it comes to, the offer, Panyu La'afrei. Here we say, L'gabe Yasulam, when you make an eitz, Arihu de Rabbi Olei. Why? What's an Afkamina? Because here, by the dlosses, which are shoku and above, in the sand, it's a chisoren in the chefza of the deles. It's not roy to be a deles. What do you mean not roy to be a deles? You can't move it. Here is no chisoren in the deles. The chisoren is Easter Shabbos. It's Yisan, not in the Chefta, it's Yisan the Gavra, the person himself. He can't. The lion there, I'm afraid. Easter Shabbos, Easter Shabbos like a lion. Hashem or the Malach saying, don't do it, it's also. So it's like it's on the Gavra, it's not in the Chefta. So therefore, that's the difference why when Shakua Ba'afa is Panyu Ala'afa, because so in the Chefta of the Delis. Here it's not a Chesed in the Chefta of the Delis. Arya de Rabbi Olei. As one day in the Gemara says, Arya de Rabbi Olei, therefore, it's not a chisoren in the eitz. The eitz is considered, when it's a chitz between two chatzeres, it's one chotze and ma'al ben echad, because it's only a zayta ke'iso of a Easter Shabbos. The other way of learning, when the Shulchan says it's matir, the Shulchan doesn't say the reason it's mutter, is because it's keiman de hutra. Since Ben Hashmoshes, since an Elon is also why can you go on Elon Shabbos? Gzeira de Rabbanon, and we paskin and Daf Lamed Beis in Eirovin like Rebbe. The Rebbe says when it comes to a Shavuot, he says the Rabbanon loy goes who Ben Hashmoshes. He says no issue of Gzeira of no every Shavuot is muta Ben Hashmoshes when it's the Soret Shabbos. So here there's a Shavuot lalos Elon. What do you call it? On Shabbos, you can't go on the Elon. But Ben Hashmoshes is only a Shavuos, and it's muta Ben Hashmoshes. So since Ben Hashmoshes, it was muta to go on the Elon, and we have a din by Kevin the Hutra, correct? Once, let's say, an Erev which was good Erev Shabbos, and it was destroyed on Shabbos, what's our halacha? You can use it, because Kevin the Hutra, once it was good Ben Hashmoshes, it's good for all Shabbos. So here also, it could be here the reason why the Elon is muta is because the Gemara says we go we pass on like Rebbe. So machlokes, how do we pass on the Rosh and the other Rishonim? What the reason is? Shulchan doesn't give the reason. The Gebeir Hagra on the Shulchan Aruch gives the reason is like Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, who says the reason because of Rebbe came in Hutra. But you don't have to pass. And Rabbi Eliezer says no. The reason is because, and the Mogan Avraham also says Mashma Mogan Avraham also. Mogan Avraham. Other Achreidim say no. The reason Shulchan Aruch is matir is because Arya hu de Rabbi Olei. So number one, you can go with the Achreidim who say that the Isa, why the Shulchan Aruch says also, is because of the Shita and the Gemara. Shulchan doesn't give a reason. It's the Machlokes in the Gemara. Because Arya hu de Rabbi Olei. So Isa Shabbos is not considered an Isa. You understand? The Gabi closing. But on the other hand, Be'er HaGra says that the reason is because of Kevin Hutra. So Kevin Hutra is not good for Mechitzas Chitzonius. Kevin Hutra is only good when you have an Eruv between two Chatzeres. There's really a Mechitza. Two Chatzeres, Ma'av and Echod, the Shnayim, came in the Hutra. But Mechitza Chitzonius, let's say on the city, if it falls down Shabbos, it's not good. You understand? And worse, Rabbi Kiva Eiger says it's even worse. Rabbi Kiva Eiger, and that Shulchan says, if it came in the Hutra, since you know it's only good at Shabbos, because it came in the Hutra, and you know after Shkia, when it comes Laila, it's also. So it's for whole Shabbos. It's also there's no Pesach Shabbos here. The Pesach has to be for Shabbos by the Chotzer. You understand? Shabbos there's no Pesach. You have to have a Pesach for Shabbos to go from one to the other. So therefore, the Rabbi Kiva Eiger says that even by Pesach bein hachatzeros, if it's something which is kemen hutra is only good only for the only between two chatzeros. But he says here Rabbi Eiger says it also wouldn't be good. He says it wouldn't be good. He says because it's after Shabbos Techshach. It's a Tzochi and Gorel. Disagrees come out with the Mogan Abom and the Machzah Shekel and everyone else. Tzochi and Gorel. He says there's no hutra on what do you call it on when you know Valley it's going to be also on Shabbos. Only when it becomes you didn't know when you thought that the Hapnimius are destroyed. And everyone admits we don't say came in hutra. Except the Rajwa Shita Yichidor, but we don't say. So you can't, so how can you use this heter? So the emes is, I use this heter with the Lumdish Svara, also which I told him, I bring him down, he's masking with me, and the others were also masking with me. Rav Wozner writes masking with me on this Svara, and he writes it, and he says, Rabbi Sol Younger Fisher writes his masking with me, Rab Hirschsprung wrote all kind of things, but he said, everything you wrote, even Pader wrote, even though you can be doicha this reason, you wrote a whole sefer. There's plenty of reasons left to matter. He's masking the halacha, Pader. He also masking with me in a big letter. The old Rab Pader, I'm talking about 45 years ago. And Rab Hirschsprung also said, he's going doicha on this, but then he says, you can be carrying Aaron with the reasons you wrote. But I'm talking about those who were misachis to these reasons. So what is the reason I want to say? It's for the following. When you have to have the ulois, let's say, so when you have, Einochanami, when you have to have the ulois, mamish, so then Isa Shabbos is a big problem. Big problem, especially it's Mechitzas Chitzonius, and you know what do you call it? You know that after, like Rabbi Kiva Eiger says, Techshach, it's also. What do you mean? It's no came in hutra, and not in Mechitzas Chitzonius, and that when it came, and you can't make the Mechitzas on Shabbos, and Shabbos, there's no way it's going to be closed. You understand? You can't do it. It's a Shabbos koruch. You can't do anything. I said, once you have to have Roy, and you don't have to be Noel, so then it holds a big difference. Then for that, so during Ben Hashmoshes Shabbos, assuming you can find a heter who came in the hutra, even you want to say, that's Ben Hashmoshes. The rest of Shabbos, you only have to have a Roy. Rabbi Shmuel said, he's asking to me, once it's Roy, think about it, it doesn't have to be mutter to open it. You don't have to open it. You don't have to be Oiven Chil Shabbos. It only has to be Roy. And Roy, who says it has to be open on Shabbos? Roy could be Monday, it could be Erev Shabbos, it could be Tuesday. Who says it doesn't have to be the whole time? Royal in oil. What is royal in oil? So Roy it is. It's enough for Roy. The Easter Shabbos, you don't have to worry, and you have to worry about if the dinners has to be Nulos Balayla. B'tzaki you want to make it Rosh Yochid, like the Ram said, Nulos Balayla. Or if it's a real Rosh Hashanah, Shulchan Aruch says, a real Rosh Hashanah, yeah, that's why all the Achronim want to be Mechalek in Shulchan Aruch. That when it's real Rosh Hashanah, Shishim Riboy, what we call, has to be Nulos Balayla, like Yerushalayim. Gemara says, Davov, all over Eruvin, Yerushalayim, Il Molei, Dil Soseh, Nulos Balayla, it would be what do you call the Rosh Hashanah? But since if Dil Soseh, Nulos Balayla, Nulos, but Poyal. Since it's Noel on Shabbos one time, Taket Choisem Arabim, so it's not a Rosh Hashanah. But when you don't have a real Rosh Hashanah, it's Bizman Hazeh, most poskim, come on, let's go all the poskim. Look, I'll tell you, Shulchan Aruch also one day, the Rambam, Tazayna, all the Chumash, but Lemaisa, so then everybody admits that you only have, that's the Rambam also, you only have to have Roy. Once it's Roy, you don't have to worry about Yisrael Shabbos. That's the main svara I say. That's what they were masking with me. Rabbi Wozner and Rabbi Swallow found the fish who went with big letters on my portim. In other words, Tzitz Elias also was masking on that thing. He wrote that also. Once you only have to have Roy and Lumbus, you don't have to have Roy, so then you don't have to have worry about Yisrael Shabbos. Isha Shabbos is a non-function. It's non-applicable here because it only has to have roy. You don't have to have nulos b'poyol. If you have nulos b'poyol, you have to wear Isha Shabbos. So that's why I got around the Isha Shabbos. Now, of course, the Avnei Nezer doesn't appeal like that. He said b'feirosh, but the Easter Shabbos involved. You can't use it. You can't use it. But I'm saying this. Well, you don't have to worry about Roy Shabbos, and that's they were masking with me. That was listen. There were many things in this Eruv. It took me. I wrote it up in when I was 30 years old in '76, and the Rabbanim agreed with me in 78, 79. It didn't go b'poyol. I left Amsterdam in 83, in 82, 83, because I didn't want to have the whole machlokas all against me. I still had the Hateirim. When I became afterwards, they called me back in 2003, 2004 to be Rav Roshi and Rav Bezin, living in Brooklyn, going back. Then I took new dayanim, etc., and I built the Eruv based on based on these Yisoidis, which I had letters going back 40 years from the mid-70s who were masking with me. These were the main. I'm saying right now that according to Avnei Nezer, Taka, he asks it, and according to the Dalshor, he asks it. But at least there were Gedolia Poskim who write me at least 5, 6 Gedolim, including Rav Rosner, including Rav Yisrael Younger Fisher, including Rav Tzitz Eliezer Waldenberg, including Rav Rosenthal from the Pushim, including Rav Hirschsprung, who were masking halacha l'maisa that you can be soymech on the Yisod which I built. I wrote the whole sefer on this, and therefore I made in 2008. I made the Eruv. Until today, they carry in Amsterdam. Okay, you want to be machmir, but tov alecha bracha. I just don't like when someone, not only the machmir, some abonim, they say if you carry in Amsterdam, you bist am b'chalshah for hesia, you're not kosher for gittin or for kedushin, and you can't have a li in the base medrash. There was one person who said that. Well, I'm not going to go into maybe two said that. That I feel is tama. It's not you want to be machmir, tov alecha bracha. Who says can you be machmir Erevin? I know I'm soymech on kulis, nothing's wrong, but not someone who's soymech. And there were Gedolim were masking with me to say such a person, what you're Mechal Shabbos and you can't have an aliyah. That's tam sinner b'kinna. That's the emes, and everyone knows it. Every place machloiksim, we know that. But anyway, I wasn't want to discuss this. These were the Yisoidis. You learned halachadik a little bit, the Eirovin, you learned halachis, but even on this was the halachis in Bechitza, at least the Yisoidis in Bechitza, which I felt, at least I can say in 45 minutes, or maybe how long would I speak? Maybe too much, but anyway, why I feel it's halacha l'maisa was matir. I ashikoya to the kodel.